"You've ruined everything," my mill screamed, pointing at the smoking oven while party guests gasped. I stood frozen, spatula in hand, as my mother-in-law's perfectly timed sabotage unfolded exactly as planned. I'd spent 3 days preparing for this dinner. 3 days chopping, marinating, and measuring to recreate my mother's famous herb-crusted prime rib, the centerpiece of Ryan's birthday celebration. I'd checked and double-checked every step, knowing Martha would be watching, judging, waiting for any mistake. What I didn't expect was for her to deliberately tamper with the oven temperature when I stepped away to get dressed. "I told Ryan you weren't fit to host a proper family gathering," Martha announced to the silent room, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "Some chef you are." My cheeks burned as 20 pairs of eyes fixed on me. Ryan's entire family, his childhood friends, and several of his coworkers stood awkwardly clutching their drinks. My husband stepped forward, mouth opening to defend me, but Martha cut him off. "Honey, don't worry. I brought a backup dinner," she declared triumphantly, nodding to Jessica, Ryan's sister, who immediately produced several covered dishes from the refrigerator. I had a feeling we'd need this. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. Instead, I quietly walked to the kitchen counter, picked up my phone, and pressed a button. The kitchen TV flickered to life, showing clear footage of Martha entering our kitchen 2 hours earlier, turning up the oven temperature from 350 to 475 degrees, and smirking at the camera. "You brought backup dinner because you made sure mine would fail," I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "Just like you've been doing since the day Ryan and I got married." The room fell completely silent. "What is this?" Martha stammered, her face suddenly pale. "Are you recording in your own kitchen? How paranoid are you?" I stepped closer to the TV. "Paranoid enough to finally catch you." It had started small. A rearranged spice rack. Missing ingredients I could have sworn I'd bought. Comments about my amateur cooking skills despite my culinary degree and years as a professional chef. But after 6 months of marriage to her beloved son, Martha's sabotage had escalated to dangerous levels. 2 weeks ago, I found cayenne pepper mixed into the cinnamon for Ryan's parents' anniversary brunch. Last week, sugar replaced salt in the risotto for a dinner with Ryan's boss. Each time, Martha would swoop in with a convenient solution while shooting me looks of manufactured sympathy. "Emily's still learning," she would tell everyone with a tight smile. "Not everyone can cook like a mother can." After the risotto disaster, I'd had enough. My colleague Diego had been sympathetic when I broke down in the restaurant kitchen the next day. "My grandmother was the same way with my mother," he said, sliding me a cup of coffee. Total kitchen sabotage. My mom finally caught her by setting up a nanny cam. That night, I ordered 3 small, inconspicuous cameras and installed them strategically around our kitchen. I didn't tell Ryan. He always thought I was exaggerating about his mother's behavior. "She's just trying to help," he'd say. That's just how she is. For a week, I reviewed the footage every night while Ryan showered. Nothing. Martha had visited twice, but behaved herself. I was beginning to think I truly was paranoid, until tonight. That's obviously fake," Martha sputtered, looking around the room for support. "Ryan, your wife is trying to frame me because she can't cook a simple roast." Ryan stepped forward, staring at the screen where his mother's actions were playing on loop. His voice was quiet when he finally spoke. "Mom, we can all see that's you." I was checking the temperature, she protested, but her usual confidence was cracking. "The oven runs hot, everyone knows that. Then why did you turn it up?" I asked, advancing the footage to show her clearly adjusting the dial with a small smile. "And why did you bring backup food unless you knew mine would be ruined?" Jessica shifted uncomfortably beside her mother. "Mom told me this morning to prepare extra food because Emily would probably mess up again." "You too." I turned to my sister-in-law, whom I'd been trying to befriend for months despite her coldness. "You were in on this." Jessica looked down. "I didn't know she was actually sabotaging anything. I thought you were just..." not good at cooking. Emily is a professional chef. Ryan exploded, finding his voice at last. She runs the kitchen at Emilio's downtown. A glorified line cook, Martha sniffed, attempting to regain her composure. Besides, anyone can get a job these days. Remember Claire? She was always a better fit for you, Ryan. A real homemaker who, that's enough. Ryan cut her off. Mom, you've been trying to undermine Emily since we started dating. I didn't want to believe it, but this. He gestured to the screen. This is crossing a line. Martha's eyes narrowed. I'm looking out for you. She's not right for this family. She's not right for you. I stepped forward, steadier than I'd felt in months. Actually, Martha, I think I'm exactly right for Ryan. Just not for your plans. What plans? Ryan asked, looking between us. I walked to the hallway closet and retrieved a small leather notebook. The plans she's been making with your ex-girlfriend Claire. I found this when I was cleaning last week. I handed it to Ryan. Check the last few pages. Ryan flipped through his mother's planner, his face darkening. Mom, you've been meeting Claire for lunch every Tuesday? And these notes about Operation Homecoming. Martha lunged for the book. That's private. But Ryan held it out of reach, continuing to read aloud. Step 1. Undermine kitchen confidence. Step 2. Create tension about career. Step 3. Highlight Claire's availability. He looked up, disgusted. You've been actively trying to break up my marriage? I've been trying to save you from a mistake. Martha cried. Claire comes from the right family. She was willing to give up her career to be a proper wife. This one, she jabbed a finger at me, puts her job before you. What kind of mother will she be? The room had grown increasingly uncomfortable. Guests were setting down their drinks, some edging toward the door. I think, Ryan's father said slowly, breaking his silence for the first time, we should go, Martha. Frank, you can't possibly now, Martha. His voice left no room for argument. Martha grabbed her purse, her face flushing deeply. This isn't over, she hissed at me as she passed. Ryan will come to his senses. When the door closed behind them, Jessica approached hesitantly. I really didn't know, she said. I'm sorry, Emily. The party disintegrated quickly after that. Some guests left awkwardly, others stayed to help clean up the mess. Diego, who I'd invited as moral support, quietly ordered pizza for those who remained. Later that night, Ryan sat heavily on our bed, still processing everything. I should have believed you, he said quietly. All those times you told me something was wrong with the food, or that ingredients were missing. She's your mother, I said, sitting beside him. Of course you wanted to think the best of her, but I'm your husband. I should have trusted you. He took my hand. I'm sorry, Em. I nodded, accepting his apology, but still feeling the sting of months of gaslighting and doubt. What happens now? I don't know, Ryan admitted. I can't believe she's been plotting with Claire this whole time. My high school girlfriend, for God's sake. We broke up 10 years ago. Your mother never got over her, I said. Perfect Claire, who wanted nothing more than to be a carbon copy of Martha. Ryan was quiet for a moment. The cameras were smart. But why didn't you tell me you were installing them? I gave him a level look. Would you have believed me if I'd said I needed them to catch your mother sabotaging our food? He had the decency to look ashamed. No, probably not. Exactly. I stood up and went to the bathroom, sudden exhaustion hitting me. As I washed my face, I heard Ryan's phone buzzing repeatedly. When I returned, his expression was grim. Mom's sent 15 messages already, he said, showing me the screen. She says she can explain everything, that you're manipulating me, that the video was edited. And what do you think? I asked, my heart tightening. Ryan set the phone down without responding to the texts. I think I need some time away from her. We both do. I nodded, relieved but unsure if this resolution would hold once Martha ramped up her campaign. Ryan had always been susceptible to his mother's guilt trips. There's something else, Ryan said hesitantly. Jessica texted separately. She said Mom's been doing this kind of thing for years, sabotaging anyone she didn't approve of in my life. Even some of my friends in high school. Are you surprised? I asked. No, he admitted, just disappointed that I never noticed. He pulled me closer. Can we salvage anything from dinner? I'm still hungry. I managed a small smile. The sides are fine. She only messed with the oven temperature for the roast. As we reheated food in the microwave, I wondered if this would truly be the end of Martha's interference or just the beginning of a more overt war. 3 days passed in relative calm. Ryan had muted notifications from his mother but hadn't formally cut contact. I was giving him space to process, though part of me feared he'd eventually minimize what had happened. On the 4th day, I came home from an early restaurant shift to find Martha sitting in our living room. My blood ran cold. How did you get in? She held up a key. I've always had one. For emergencies. This isn't an emergency, I said, setting down my bag. And you're not welcome here right now. I came to speak with my son, she said coldly. This ridiculous situation has gone on long enough. Ryan's at work, and he knows where to find you if he wants to talk. Martha stood, straightening her expensive blouse. Listen to me carefully, Emily. Ryan and I have a bond you can never understand. He might be angry now, but he'll forgive me. He always does. Maybe he shouldn't, I replied. Maybe that's the problem. Her eyes narrowed. You think you've won something here, don't you? One little video and suddenly you're the victim. But we both know what you're really after. And what's that, Martha? The Montgomery name. The connections. The status. She sneered. I've seen your type before. Ambitious little chef from nowhere, Texas, latching onto a good family. I laughed bitterly. I make more money than Ryan does. I turned down a head chef position in New York to stay in Austin with him. Yet you insist on working those ridiculous hours instead of building a proper home, she countered. Claire understood the importance of family presence. Claire understood the importance of pleasing you, I corrected. There's a difference. Martha stepped closer. I'll give you one chance to end this gracefully. Tell Ryan you've reconsidered your career path. Start planning for children right away. Attend family functions without complaint. In short, become the wife he deserves. I stared at her, astonished by her audacity. Or what? Or I'll make sure every door in this town closes to you, professionally and socially. The Montgomerys have been in Austin for generations. One word from me, and your precious culinary career disappears. I walked to the door and held it open. Get out of my house, Martha. And give me that key. She clutched the key tighter. You're making a serious mistake. No, you are. Because unlike you, I don't make threats I can't follow through on. I pulled out my phone. I'm still recording everything in this house, including this conversation. Her face paled slightly, but she recovered quickly. You can't record people without their consent in Texas. Actually, Texas is a one-party consent state, I replied. But good try. Martha's composure cracked for a moment, raw fury showing through. You won't win this. It's not a competition, I said. It's a marriage. One you're not part of. She finally dropped the key on the side table and walked out. I locked the door behind her, my hands shaking slightly. Then I texted Ryan, your mother was just here. We need to change the locks. His response came immediately on my way home. That evening, as Ryan installed new locks on our doors, I transferred the video recordings from the past week to a USB drive. Aside from the dinner sabotage and today's confrontation, there was more. Martha going through our mail, searching drawers in our bedroom, making a copy of a key from Ryan's keychain while he showered during a previous visit. I can't believe this, Ryan muttered as we reviewed the footage. It's like she's obsessed. She is obsessed, I confirmed, with controlling your life. Ryan ran his hands through his hair in frustration. What do we do now? She's still my mother. That's up to you, I said carefully. But I need to know you're with me on this. Really with me. He took my hand firmly. I am. 100%. Then I think we need to set some clear boundaries, I said, starting with her not having access to our home. Ryan nodded slowly, and I need to talk to her. Alone. Make it clear that this behavior stops or... He hesitated. Or what? I pressed. Or she won't be part of our lives, he finished. Not until she can respect my choices and my wife. I leaned against him, relieved but wary. Do you think she'll listen? Honestly? No. But I have to try. Ryan arranged to meet his mother for coffee the next day. I spent the morning anxiously stress baking, creating elaborate pastries to keep my hands busy. When Ryan returned 3 hours later, his expression told me everything. That bad? I asked. Worse, he said, dropping onto a kitchen stool. She brought Claire with her. I nearly dropped the mixing bowl I was holding. She did what? Ambushed me completely. Said she thought it would be helpful for me to hear Claire's perspective on why I was making a mistake. I set down the bowl carefully, trying to control my anger. And what did Claire have to say? Nothing, actually. She looked mortified, apologized, and left immediately. Apparently, Mom told her I had requested the meeting to discuss reconciliation. I laughed humorlessly. Of course she did. I told Mom this was the last straw, Ryan continued. That I wouldn't be in contact until she apologized to you and demonstrated real change. How did she take that? Ryan grimaced. She cried. Then she got angry. Said you were turning me against her. Then she threatened to cut me out of the family business and her will. The family business was a successful property management company where Ryan worked as a financial director. It was his livelihood. Ryan, your job is just a job, he finished firmly. I've already put out feelers with some contacts. If she follows through on that threat, I'll find something else. I felt a surge of love for this man who was finally standing up for us, even at personal cost. What about the rest of your family? Jessica, your dad. Ryan sighed. Dad's always followed Mom's lead. But Jessica reached out again. She feels terrible about everything. She wants to have dinner with us. At a restaurant, he added with a small smile. I'd like that, I said cautiously. Jessica had always been cool toward me, but maybe that had been Martha's influence rather than genuine dislike. As we talked through the implications of cutting ties with Martha, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Claire. Can we meet? There's something you should know. I decided to meet Claire alone. Ryan offered to come, but I felt this was something I needed to handle myself. We agreed on a public place, a coffee shop downtown, far from anywhere Martha might frequent. Claire was already there when I arrived, nervously shredding a napkin. I'd only seen her in photos before, a pretty blonde with the polished look of old money. In person, she seemed smaller, more uncertain. Thanks for coming, she said as I sat down. I'm so sorry about yesterday. I had no idea what Martha was planning. I believe you, I said, but I'm curious why you've been meeting with her all this time. Claire sighed. It started innocently enough. I ran into her at a charity event last year, shortly after my divorce. She was supportive, kept in touch. When she mentioned you and Ryan were having problems, I was concerned. As a friend, she emphasized. I never wanted to interfere. We weren't having problems, I clarified. That was Martha's fiction. I realized that now, Claire said, looking genuinely distressed. But she can be persuasive. She'd tell me Ryan was unhappy, that he missed me, that marrying you was a mistake he didn't know how to undo. And you believed her? Claire looked down. I wanted to. My marriage had failed. The idea that the one who got away might still want me was appealing. She met my eyes directly. But I've never contacted Ryan. And when I saw his face yesterday, how angry he was that she'd brought me there, I knew she'd been manipulating me too. I studied her, looking for signs of deception, but finding none. Why are you telling me this? Claire reached into her purse and pulled out a small notebook. Because Martha's plans go beyond just breaking up your marriage. She's been systematically undermining you professionally too. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? She's been contacting restaurant owners and investors all over Austin, Claire explained, pushing the notebook toward me. Telling them you're difficult to work with, unreliable, even suggesting health code violations. I flipped through the notebook, my horror growing with each page. Names of restaurants where I'd applied for positions, notes about conversations with owners, even a list of food critics she'd spoken to. She's trying to ruin my career, I whispered. Claire nodded grimly. I only found out recently. She left this notebook at my house last week when she stopped by to strategize. When I realized what she was doing, I knew I had to warn you. Why would you help me? I asked suspiciously. You don't even know me. Because what she's doing is wrong, Claire said simply. And because I've been on the receiving end of Martha's disapproval too. 10 years ago, when Ryan and I broke up. That was because I got accepted to law school in California. Martha didn't want him moving away, so she made sure we ended things. I sat back, processing this new information. Does Ryan know that? Claire shook her head. I never told him. Martha convinced me it would be kinder to let him think I'd fallen out of love. She smiled sadly. I've long since moved on, happily, despite the divorce, but Martha never forgave me for almost stealing her son away. Until she needed me as a pawn against you. I need to show this to Ryan, I said, indicating the notebook. Of course. Claire hesitated. There's one more thing. Martha mentioned a family dinner next week at her house. She's planning something big. She called it her final solution to the Emily problem. A chill ran through me. What kind of something? I don't know details, Claire admitted. But she was unusually confident, even for her. Whatever it is, be careful. As we parted ways, Claire offered a gentle warning. Martha doesn't lose gracefully, Emily. And she's never lost anything she truly wanted to keep. The notebook proved to be even more damning than I'd initial. Martha's house was decorated impeccably for the family dinner, as always. Fresh flowers adorned every surface, and the dining table was set with her finest china. She greeted us with brittle politeness, air-kissing Ryan's cheek and nodding stiffly at me. So glad you could make it, she said, her smile not reaching her eyes. Everyone's been asking about you both. The house filled quickly with Montgomery relatives, most of whom regarded me with curious glances. Clearly, Martha had been sharing her version of events. I spotted my boss, Chef Emilio, in the corner speaking with Frank. My stomach dropped. He looked confused about why he'd been invited, but Martha had likely concocted some story. What is Emilio doing here? Ryan whispered. Whatever your mother's planning, it involves my job, I murmured back. Martha clinked her glass for attention as everyone gathered in the living room before dinner. I want to thank you all for coming to this special family gathering, she announced. As many of you know, we've had some misunderstandings recently. Several relatives nodded sympathetically. But family must stick together through difficult times, Martha continued, her voice dripping with manufactured sincerity. Which is why I felt it important to clear the air completely. She turned to me with a predatory smile. Emily, dear, I believe you have something to explain to everyone? All eyes turned to me. This was it, her moment to spring whatever trap she'd set. Actually, Martha, I said calmly, I do have something to share. I stepped forward, meeting her gaze steadily. But perhaps not what you're expecting. Martha's smile faltered slightly. I addressed the room. For those who don't know me well, I'm Emily, Ryan's wife and a chef at Emilio's downtown. For the past year, I've been subjected to a campaign of sabotage and undermining by my mother-in-law. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Martha's face hardened. That's a serious accusation, she said sharply, and completely unfounded. Is it? I pulled out my phone and connected it to the large TV mounted on Martha's wall. Let me show you what unfounded looks like. Before Martha could object, I played the compilation of footage, Martha tampering with food in our kitchen, searching our personal belongings, making copies of our keys. The room fell silent as the evidence mounted. This is an invasion of privacy. Martha sputtered, trying to turn off the TV. Frank, do something. But Frank remained motionless, his expression unreadable as he watched his wife's behavior displayed for all to see. I continued steadily. Martha has also been actively working to undermine my professional reputation. I turned to Emilio. Chef, did you receive calls suggesting I was stealing recipes or violating health codes? Emilio looked stunned. Yes, anonymous tips. We investigated and found nothing, of course. I nodded, because there was nothing to find. I held up Claire's notebook. Martha has been contacting restaurants all over Austin, spreading rumors and lies about me. This is ridiculous, Martha snapped, her composure cracking. Ryan, are you going to let her attack me like this? Ryan stepped forward to stand beside me. Mom, we have proof of everything Emily's saying. And yes, I'm supporting my wife, something you've never done. I invited you here to give you a chance, Martha hissed, dropping all pretense. To announce you were separating, that you'd realized your mistake. I even arranged for Emily to have a position at my friend's restaurant in Houston, far away from here. That was your opportunity to fix this gracefully. The room had grown increasingly uncomfortable as relatives witnessed the meltdown they'd clearly not expected. There's nothing to fix, Mom, Ryan said firmly. Accept your behavior. Martha turned to the gathered family, switching tactics. Can't you all see what's happening? She's turned my son against me. She's manipulative, calculating like you. Jessica interrupted, surprising everyone by speaking up. Mom, we've all seen the evidence. This has to stop. For a moment, Martha looked genuinely shocked that Jessica had contradicted her. Then her gaze hardened as she looked around the room, realizing she was losing control of the narrative. Frank, she demanded. Tell them. All eyes turned to Ryan's father, who had remained silent throughout. He cleared his throat uncomfortably. Martha, he said quietly enough. 2 simple words, but they seemed to deflate Martha entirely. Frank rarely opposed her on anything. You too, she whispered. Frank shook his head wearily. I've looked the other way too many times. Made excuses. But this. He gestured to the screen where the evidence was still visible. This has to stop. The dinner Martha had planned as my public humiliation had become her own instead. She stood rigid in the center of her perfect living room, surrounded by family members now viewing her with new eyes. I think I said gently that Ryan and I should go. This was meant to be a family dinner, and clearly you all have things to discuss. As we prepared to leave, Emilio approached me. Emily, I had no idea. I'm sorry for doubting you, even briefly. It's not your fault, I assured him. She's very convincing. Still, he said thoughtfully, perhaps it's time we discuss that head chef position that's opening next month. Your handling of this situation shows exactly the kind of leadership we need. As we said our goodbyes, Martha remained frozen in place, watching her carefully constructed world crumble around her. Just before we reached the door, she called out Ryan. You can't leave like this. You're a Montgomery. You have responsibilities to this family. Ryan turned back one last time. I do have responsibilities, Mom. To my wife and to the family we're building together. When you're ready to be part of that, respectfully, let us know. In the car, the tension finally broke. Ryan let out a long breath, gripping the steering wheel tightly. I can't believe we just did that. Are you okay? I asked, worried about the fallout. He considered for a moment, then nodded slowly. I think I am. For the first time in a long time. He reached for my hand. Thank you for being strong enough to stand up to her. Not just for yourself, but for us. We stood up to her, I corrected. Together. The following weeks brought significant changes. Ryan found a new position at a financial firm, away from the family business. I accepted the head chef promotion at Emilio's. Jessica became a regular visitor at our home, flourishing away from Martha's shadow. Martha herself remained distant. Frank called occasionally, checking in with Ryan, making awkward but genuine efforts to maintain a relationship. But from Martha, there was only silence. She's regrouping, Jessica warned during one visit. Mom doesn't surrender, she strategizes. But for now, at least, we had peace. Our home was ours again. No sabotage, no intrusion, no manipulation. The cameras stayed up just in case, but captured nothing more sinister than our cat knocking things off counters. One evening, as Ryan and I cooked dinner together in our kitchen, a new habit we both enjoyed, he asked, "Do you think she'll ever change?" I thought about Martha, her rigid control, her inability to accept any reality but the one she constructed. "I don't know," I answered honestly. "Some people can't bend without breaking." "I miss who I thought she was," Ryan admitted. "The mother I believed I had." I squeezed his hand gently. "That's okay. You're allowed to grieve that." Later that night, as we lay in bed, Ryan propped himself up on one elbow. "You know, in a weird way, I'm almost grateful for what happened." "Grateful?" I asked, surprised. "Not for what she did," he clarified, "but for what it taught me. About standing up for what matters. About what kind of husband I want to be." He brushed a strand of hair from my face. "And what kind of parent I don't want to be when the time comes." I smiled, placing his hand over my stomach. "Well, that's good timing." His eyes widened. "Are you?" 8 weeks, I confirmed. "I found out yesterday." As joy spread across his face, I knew we'd face more challenges with Martha eventually. She wouldn't stay away forever, especially once she learned about the baby. But whatever came next, we would face it together, with open eyes and stronger boundaries. Some recipes are meant to be followed exactly. Others need to be completely rewritten. We were creating our own recipe now, one ingredient at a time. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.